And welcome into the Rant, everybody. Cade McFarland alongside Big Al Jerkins. To our guys in production, I am still seeing the NBC feed, so if you don't mind doing whatever magic you do, that's right, so we can see the highlights. But anyway, welcome to all of you. We, of course, have plenty of things to talk about, as we always do, on a Sunday night after the college football games on Saturday. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State keep their college football playoff hopes alive. But for how long, if some of these flaws that we saw in shaky road wins yesterday persist? We'll start with Oklahoma State. They go down to Austin and beat Texas for the 5th straight time. No team in college football history has ever done that. But, Al, it did not unfold anything like we would have expected. The OSU offense, yikes. The OSU defense ends up pulling this thing out.
I don't know if you remember this story. Daniel Snyder. What a putz. He didn't like his offense one year.
Okay.
So he bought a gallon of vanilla ice cream and put it on the offensive coordinator's desk and let it melt.
That. He was a putz.
Okay. Now, I'm not suggesting that we go to the offensive coordinator's desk in Stillwater and plant the gallon of vanilla ice cream. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish. In fact, I remember at the Big 12 media meetings, the head coach said, I quote, "We should be really good on offense."
Yeah, and they have been mostly. They just weren't so much yesterday.
You mean to tell me they couldn't figure out a way to at least find some way to throw the football? Listen, they won, so it sounds like we're nitpicking. But I don't think that if Texas can do it,
yes.
Why can't someone else in this go? TCU, you don't think TCU could do it?
And TCU gave them the blueprint, and that's why I think Oklahoma State fans have reason to be pretty concerned today, because they've played two legitimate defenses. Both have said, look, we know that you've got the most lethal downfield passing game in the entire country. James Washington is uncoverable, so we're dropping safeties, not just deep, but extra deep. And we are going to make you run the ball to win or beat us with the intermediate passing game.
But I always thought if your thought process is that you're going to concentrate on running the football, you got to throw it deep or throw it a little bit to keep the defense honest. And it was getting to the end where we all knew what OSU was going to do with the football.
He got really conservative. And look, it worked out, right? So Ramon Richards made a play. Sam Ehlinger helped him out. I mean, it worked out for Gundy in the end, but I'm with you. I can't believe how conservative they got with a golden opportunity to drive the field and win with what came in as the #1 offense in the entire country. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. They are probably the #1 offense in the country against a mediocre or bad defense. But against a good defense, now against TCU and Texas, Oklahoma State has shown me they don't have answers for a team that can stop the run without help from its secondary. So when they drop safeties and they say, look, you're going to have to run or you're going to have to beat us with intermediate passes, Oklahoma State hasn't been able to do it now twice. And yes, and they regressed. I mean, TCU, they scored 31. This was far from 31.
Obviously, where they have not regressed is on defense. Because
solid performance.
I know there were a couple plays prior to that interception right there. Yeah. That was a gift. But the play, I don't know, you saw Texas receivers dropped a lot of balls yesterday. But I think I saw the OSU defenders were there to make the plays. Yeah. And in many cases knocked the ball out because of the physical play. So I don't want to take anything, not a thing away from OSU's defense, because I thought they played the best game of the season. Yeah. So what do we expect from OSU from here on in?
I don't know.
Do we expect them to play better defense, and is it going to be the defense that keeps them in the game, or are they going to still rely on running up the score to beat other teams? And that's where I'm confused.
I thought the most interesting thing Mike Gundy said after the ball game was our offensive coaches, Mike Yursich, needs to do a better job of finding answers. There are holes in a defense when you play us that way, and we've got to find them. Did he say we stink?
Yeah,
we stunk?
We stunk.
We've got to find the holes, and our offense is too good not to find them, and you had 60 minutes to find them. And so Mike Gundy clearly is of the mind that they've got the offensive talent to go find answers against somebody who's playing them this way. For whatever reason, they just didn't do it. He put it on coaches yesterday. But look, once is Once is a mistake, twice a pattern, 3 times a habit. This happens one more time, And I think I would be willing to say that not only is this not a college football playoff level team, I don't see them winning the Big 12. And it could happen this week at West Virginia. That's a solid defense too.
Do you put do you put any credence into the fact that OSU won a close game on the road?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I guess all we've done is complain so far. But winning in Austin for the 5th straight time, doing it with defense when for years they've had to rely on their offense. They've now won how many close games in a row? It's like 13 to 14, something absolutely absurd. There are lots of good things coming out of this. But are they the kind of things that make me think that they're going to go win the Big 12? And maybe sneak their way into the college football playoff? Not the way they're playing right now.
No, because I see too many other teams that are
too many flaws, too many holes. But look, we always do this, right? You always overreact because we've only got 12 of these games. Only like 7 or 8 of them are against quality competition. So when you get one of these games, we put too much emphasis on it. That's what we're doing right now. If they go beat West Virginia, if they beat the doors off those guys, I'll be ready to get right back on what I was saying at the beginning of the year, that they're going to win the Bedlam game in Stillwater.
I brought up before we went on the air, we were on Facebook, how influenced do we even become when we read the tweets from everybody?
Yeah, sure.
This guy needs to be fired. Someone wanted Mike Stoops fired at halftime. I mean, and you get
Mike
so carried away.
Mike Stoops. Somebody wants him fired at halftime of every game, every week, all the time.
But how influenced do we become? Where is this person or where is that person? And then at the end we have to insert foot.
That's right. Oklahoma State is 6-1. At the end of the day, you're right. That's really what matters.
There was a very famous head football coach who coached 1 year at Oklahoma who made the very famous quote after a game.
That's right.
When he lost to Colorado.
Yes.
Halftime adjustments is the most overrated aspect in the game of football. I'm sure you can guess it.
Yeah, Mike Gundy would disagree with Howard Schnellenberger yesterday. Hey, speaking of the Sooners, not speaking of Howard Schnellenberger, but speaking of the Sooners, a bit of a shaky road win for them as well. The offense had to carry the day in this one. Rodney Anderson with the game-winning touchdown. He had himself a day, 147 yards.
Should OU fans just be thankful for a victory?
A road victory
over the last month or so?
Sure. This was a tougher spot than you might expect because Kansas State had played so poorly the week before against TCU. You knew they were going to bounce back, and OU did have to take their best shot.
I think OU was a 14-point favorite, and I took Kansas State plus the points, and here's why.
Get rich.
Well,
get rich,
I didn't bet. I just on my picks, okay? No. I thought OU would be a little spent because of the heat in Dallas and the emotional win.
Sure.
And Kansas State was coming off 2 really bad games, and Bill Snyder is kind of like that rat in the corner.
Yeah, that's right.
And I thought Kansas State had a really good chance to win this football game, and they almost did. Now, OU's going to kick the field goal at the end to win it anyway, I guess.
Yeah, that's right, if he doesn't find the end zone in the last few
seconds.
But
again, I ask the OU fan out there, do you just get on your knees every Saturday now and pray for a win no matter how it happens, no matter how close the game is, no matter who you're playing? Do you just hope to get out of there with a win? And is this the way the rest of the season is going to transpire?
I would say that after week 2, when they beat Ohio State the way they did, OU fans probably thought that they had reached a level. They saw what the defense did that day.
Before the meal.
That's right, and probably thought they were a notch above everybody in the Big 12, or maybe everybody but Oklahoma State, and thought that they would have some easy Saturdays in this league. And when you lose to Iowa State early on, I mean, that's that. And when you struggle with Baylor the way they did, that was a signal. And whether we were paying attention or not with that Baylor game, that look, the parity that Mike Gundy, for one, has talked about in this league is for real this year. And this Sooners team is too flawed to think that they're just it's gonna be a cakewalk.
Okay.
I mean, there were a lot of cakewalks the last 2 years with Lincoln Riley as offensive coordinator and the Sooners going what would have been 17-1 in Big 12 play. Clearly, this is a different year. This is a different team with more inexperience at some key spots, and it's going to be a grind. Yeah.
This was like a role reversal for OU. They fell behind early, came back, and won.
That's right.
The previous 3, they lost the lead.
Storyline we can toss now.
Right. We can basically go the other direction now.
It was an impressive comeback. It really was in Manhattan with those guys keyed up and playing their best. I mean, this was Not a championship level performance. I guess I keep going back to that. They didn't look like a college football playoff team to me. But other than Alabama, who does? So the point is,
but we said the same thing about
as long as you don't get to 2 losses, you got a shot. You're in the mix. And both of our teams, even though it was shaky, keep their college football playoff hope alive for another week.
It was really painful watching Alabama and Tennessee yesterday.
Was it? Yeah.
Painful.
Tell me about how painful that was. I can only
because my wife
did not.
My wife is from Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
So naturally,
was she watching?
When she would come back downstairs or sit down to read a magazine, I put it on there
just her to do something else.
And even she said, "I can't take this." It was such a manhandling of men against boys. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. It's disturbing almost. How much better they are than just about everybody else.
I can't fathom how they don't end up not only in the college football playoff, but in the final game, and beating them is who. Hey, speaking of something that was tough to watch yesterday, you're looking at highlights of Tulsa versus UConn. And Al, I mean, we've joked a little bit about OU and OSU and the uneven performances. 1 week we think that they're world beaters. The next week we don't know what to make of them. Look, Tulsa, after you beat Houston by 4 touchdowns, this is a winnable game that gives you a chance to really turn the season around, and you go scoreless in the first half, and you go down 20-0 against UConn.
You know, they still had a shot, but I thought at the end there was no sense of urgency with the clock. They scored, I believe, I can't remember the exact amount of time left when they made it 20-14, but they got the ball back and had a chance at the end. And I thought in their second touchdown drive, they just took too long to get there. Now, you know, you can't expect kids to just fly all over the place all the time, but I thought maybe they were a little bit too time wasting in their final touchdown.
And I guess what I take away from this, we'll make this kind of quick because halftime is about to wrap up. After scoring 45 against Houston with Luke Skipper at quarterback, it's not like that just magically fixed everything. This is still a really young quarterback. It was just different when you had Dane Evans and Kevin Lucas. And look, I love the schemes that they have. I love that Baylor offense or that Art Briles offense, whatever you want to call it, that Philip Montgomery runs. But it really is about the Jimmies and Joes more than it is the X's and O's. And they've got some inexperience. They've got some inexperience, and they're working through it. And I wanted to believe that they had really found some answers and fixed some things after the Houston game, but as we saw yesterday, still very much a work in progress at 11th and Harvard.
Hey, here's the end of the ball game, by the way.
Then there it is.
Knocked away.
Really did have a good shot, though, from inside in the red zone there. One last thing.
Yes.
We talked to the
Congratulations
Facebook Live
to Scott
people
Sutton
about it. Your old buddy. Hey, tell the story. Scott Sutton, hired by Oklahoma State as assistant coach. He takes Lamont Evans' spot. Of course, he played at Oklahoma State, and his father, legendary coach. You did...
Well, when I was doing ORU play-by-play.
Yeah, that's right. You were doing ORU play-by-play,
right,
and he was
Scott,
a color guy for a year.
Right. It was Sky. He was like a grad assistant. I can't remember what exactly.
He was on Bill Self's
Bill got
staff.
him right. So during the games, Scott was my partner, color commentator partner. You're talking about the story when I had to go take a break?
Yeah.
All right, so there's a timeout, and I've got to go relieve myself. So I tell Scott, you know, if I don't get back in time, just take over, you know, blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't get back in time, and apparently I got word. We heard a whole lot of sneaker squeaking going on, but we didn't hear any voices. We were wondering what happened. And Scott, and he claims that they were playing a Russian team, and he didn't want to pronounce all the names.
They were all Russian names. He didn't know how to say them.
Right, exactly. So he goes from.
Basically, it was just dead air.
Right.
It was just, like you said, sneakers squeaking for 30 seconds or a minute or so.
And now
he was terrified.
And now, yes, exactly.
And now he's the winningest coach in ORU history. And although he was fired earlier this year, what a fantastic job.
Nice recovery.
He did at 81st and Lewis, and I am so happy for him because look, this is, I mean. Okay, I'll just say it, potentially in line for what would be his dream job. Let's put it that, you know what I mean? Like, who the heck knows? I'm just saying he's there now. I mean, they're picked to finish last in the Big 12, and who knows where the NCAA investigation goes. So I'm just saying he's there. He's on the staff, and hopefully he does a great job. They do a great job and exceed some expectations this year.
And they had a scrimmage at Memorial High School today.
Which is very cool.
Yeah,
Open practice, at Memorial High.
Beautiful timing.
That's right.
It all meshes together.
That's right.
All righty, they are underway.
They're back in action. New England 17, Atlanta 0. Thank you so much for watching the
Here's
Rant,
a prediction.
everybody.
It'll be 28-3 New England, and Atlanta's going to come back and win this thing at the end.
I love it. Let's make that happen. Let's please make that happen. Thanks for watching the Rant,
We can only hope.